it takes a long time to use up blush. Hello, how are you guys? I hope you're having a great day. So today's video is going to be talking about some products here that I talked about almost a year ago. So about a year ago I did a project pan introduction, and then I kind of didn't do any more updates, and my goal was to use up 9 products in 2019. And so I had 6 months where I was going to use specific products, use them up or hit pan on them or whatever in effort to not buy more products. It was kind of a challenge to myself to use the products that I already have and not keep buying more. So then life happened, and I have definitely made a lot of progress in a whole year. It's really interesting to do a project like that because some products I hit the goals and succeeded. It kind of made me realize I didn't even like some of the products. I'm also going to be talking about products that worked better if I found out that there's a certain product that I didn't enjoy using, and or products that I've used in place of if I've used it up or what have you. So let's just get into my list here. I actually have a list that I wrote down from last year of the ones that I hit pan and what I wanted to do. Okay, so my first product that I have on my list is the Jaclyn Hill shade. I will put on the screen the name of the shade because I have forgotten. But so this was it. I popped it out of the Jaclyn Hill palette. So the story behind this though, it's an empty pan, okay? And it had a cream eyeshadow color that was a base color that I put down after I applied my primer. Well, I had very significant pan in it, but before I took a picture of it, I ended up dropping it, and it like crumbled all over my carpet, so I ended up having to throw it out. And I was probably 2/3 of the way through it, so I definitely used a significant amount. But this clean pan unfortunately is not fully clean because I used every single powder. But that's okay because I still basically used up an eyeshadow. You know, I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment despite the fact that it crumbled and I didn't really finish it, but I'm still happy with that progress. On this list, I had what I wanted, my goal of what I wanted to do. So for this, I did say I wanted to finish it, and even though I ended up dropping it and it crumbling, I didn't totally finish it. I still feel confident that I hit my goal. And so secondly, I have the Wet n Wild blush. Now, I'm really excited because I wanted to finish it. Now, I was ambitious, and I had hit a tiny little pan when I first started the project, and now, looking at it a year later, using it almost every single day. I mean, this is honestly like my favorite blush. It really, really is. I'm wearing it today, and I think it suits me really nicely. I think that it's just, like in person, it's just peachy enough that you can tell that I've got pink little cheeks, but it's not like, whoa, you've got pink cheeks, and it's not like too vibrant. In my opinion, it's not too pink. I like peachy blushes. And so here is my progress, and as you can tell, it takes a long time to use up blush. It takes a long time to use up blush. So, you know, to have this big of a pan using one blush for a whole year. Now, did I use this blush only every single time that I did my makeup? No, but almost every time, like probably 80% of the time that anytime I ever put on makeup, I'm using this blush because I truly, truly love it. I think it's a great everyday blush. Now, this is called Apricot in the Middle, and if you need to know the number, it's 327B. One of my favorites. Like I said, it's a little pearly, and it's a great formula that I don't feel like that I go overboard anytime I apply it on my cheeks. So good blush. It's also a little mini review, I guess. So then the third thing that I have on here is the Maybelline Chrome. I had a single pot that I applied as a primer, and then I would put this cream eyeshadow on top in order to set my primer. And so this project helps me realize that I really didn't like that product. I used it a lot. I used it and used it and used it and used it. And at some point in time, I threw it away, and I kind of didn't think I was going to come back to this video, honestly. So I threw it away, and I was like, I hate this product. I literally hated it so much that I threw it away. And it just goes to show you things that I like and things that I don't like, and it kind of helps me realize that I can let go of items that I don't enjoy using, and I definitely don't want to make myself miserable by continuing to use them when they're just not working for me. I didn't like the way that it applied underneath of my eyeshadow. It actually changed the way that the eyeshadow looked, and I didn't realize how big of a deal that was. And honestly, what I replaced it with is this MAC paint pot, and it's in soft ochre. But it suits my skin tone. It's not shimmery, it's not shiny and weird. It's got a sticky base. It's a really nice quality that won't dry out. And that was another thing about that Maybelline thing. I felt like that it dried out. Next is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. My goal was to hit pan. Well, let's see. I did not hit pan. Look at this. I've used this for an entire year. Now, before I get a little too crazy by that statement, it's a bit warm on my skin. In order for it to show up, I find that if I apply it when I'm extremely pale in the wintertime, it actually is a little too warm, and I have to be careful about how much that I use of it. Otherwise, it looks like I'm wearing bronzer, and it's a little excessive on my skin. So I love this product. I really do. I think it's a great product. But and I'm wearing it today. I'm probably at the, let me see, when did I apply my makeup? I want to say I'm at the 10-hour mark or something like that. Like, my makeup's been on for a long time. I can't even tell that it's on anymore, but when I first applied my makeup, like, I put bronzer around the perimeters of my face, and I felt like that it was just tan enough that it made me not look like a ghost, but also not look like that I was clearly wearing bronzer. What I had been using in place of this during the winter months is this number 7 powder from Target that I bought it from Target, and I really like the tone of this. It's actually really, really densely packed powder, and it's almost, I dig my brush into it. Like, I use this new Sonia Kashuk brush that I got from Target, and it's called the Wide Angled Contour, and I just go into it. Like, I go into it. I'm pressing pretty hard, and I get a lot of product on there, and this is a very dense brush, and I just apply it kind of like this, and I really like the way that it shapes my face and gives me some definition. Now, I find that this brush with this bronzer works really well together. But when I do this with my butter bronzer, it tends to be a little too warm. So this brush tends to be too dense for this powder, which sounds funny. So then instead I use this brush. It's a big old fluffy brush. It's still a fairly dense brush, but it is rounder. I like the shape of it, but it's still like got a bit of, if you use it lightly, if you don't press down too hard on it, but if you use it kind of lightly and just dip into the powder and just kind of lightly go in like this, I find that that works really well and with this powder. So it's just a matter of what time of year it is, what kind of brush I am using, and the denseness of how tightly packed a powder is or not. This one is almost, it almost feels like that it's so tightly packed that it is nothing comes up when you run a brush through it, and that's why I use this brush and really go into it, because it's definitely picking stuff up. Also, if you guys remember, I had this old bronzer. It's from Lisa Frank. It's a Lisa Frank. It is a Glamour Dolls makeup, which I don't know that brand at all, but I like the powder. A powder is a powder is a powder to me, so whether it's drugstore or high end, it's still just colored powder in my head, so I'm just like, who cares if it's like not a brand that you know of super well. This is from an Ipsy bag anyway, so it's kind of like testing out new makeup. So this is a great color for me in the dead of summer, like when I have a good tan going. This is a great bronzer for me, whereas the other two are almost they almost become too light and they don't even show up. So it just depends on the time of year as to which powder that I'm using. So the next thing on my list was the Wet n Wild concealer. I wanted to finish it, and I ended up finishing it. Now this is my second tube. There was a sale going on at the store where this was on sale for literally like $2, and it's already a cheap product. It was probably even like $1 and something, so I went ahead and bought a backup. So this is my second tube. So clearly I liked it enough to repurchase it. Would I repurchase a third tube? Probably not. It took me a long time to use it up. I used it every day, and it's a good color for me, but it's probably less brightening. I have two others now. So this one, which I had previously featured in another video a long time ago, I actually I took out the sponge thing, and I just kind of twist it and use my brush here, this concealer brush, to apply it under my eyes. And I'm actually panning this now. I'm trying to use this up because it's a rather older product, and I think that it's just kind of, it's not my favorite. Honestly, I almost prefer the Wet n Wild over this one, and even though this is like a really big deal in the makeup world, like a lot of people love this one, it's just not my favorite. I think I prefer Wand. I just don't like the packaging. I think that's one of the biggest turnoffs for me. So despite the product being good, there's other concealers out there that are also very good. And to carry on that subject, I actually bought the new ColourPop. This is the No Filter Concealer, and I really like it. It's a lighter color, and I think that it actually suits my under eyes better and brightens them up more like what I'm looking for. I almost think that this color and Wet n Wild, which is light ivory, I think that it's a good shade match for me, but this is lighter and it brightens a little more, while this is more skin toned for me. So just a lesson on concealer colors. And also this one is a bit yellow on me, which I know sounds funny because I have yellow skin, so it should match better, but I think that it pulls a little too yellow for me, and it's not really my favorite. Okay, next thing on my list is the Sabella pressed powder, and I wanted to finish it. Guess what, guys? I finished it. I'm super excited. Like, I can't believe that I actually used up. Now, it literally took me almost a whole year. It really did. I honestly think finishing this powder inspired me to actually sit down and film this video and talk about the products that I wanted to pan, because it took me an entire year to use up this powder, and I loved this powder. It was a great under eye setting powder, and it was loose, it was fluffy, it was fairly loosely packed, but it was finely milled, so it was great. It was a great powder. It smelled good too. What I replaced it with was this Milani powder. Now this is a pressed powder as well. I actually kind of bought this for the packaging, and I regret it because I think that it's pressed too tightly for a, and I know it's a pressed powder, not a loose powder, but I think that how pressed it was, I think that the differences between these two is this one was much more loosely packed, and this one was much more densely packed, and I don't like this as much. I'm learning how to use it, and I'm being much more aggressive when I go into it. I just take my brush and I go like really just to try to get stuff on my brush. Whereas I just had to tap my brush with this one and I would get it, which tells you the differences between my preferences on pressed powder. Do I think I'm going to pan this? I am not going to be near as motivated to pan this because your girl don't really like it. Okay, so next on my list is the Maybelline Master Chrome Highlighter. What did I want to do? I wanted to hit pan. Did I hit pan? Absolutely not. Look at this. I made such a significant dip on a highlighter. I'm really impressed with it, but my gosh, like, as deep as this pan is, I don't think I would ever hit pan. I mean, I would have to use it and use it and use it. I ended up, you know, I'm not sure when I stopped using this, but I replaced it. I guess it must have been at Christmas because this is when I got this highlighter. And I didn't have any other highlighters in my collection until Christmas time when my brother bought me the Becca macaroon set, which was a holiday edition. And my favorite shade ended up being the opal shade. I love this. It's like a gold champagne color and it's just so pretty on my skin. There we go. If you can see it there, it's just like, it's subtle, but it's there, and I just really like it. Whereas this one is a pinky, and it's much different. The texture is also much different than the Becca, and it's like, it's much more jarring. Like, you can see it there, and it's just like, boom, you definitely have highlighter on. I've actually changed my preferences on my highlighter. I don't even use this anymore. I honestly could get rid of this today and wouldn't miss it. I don't think I would miss it. I'm kind of keeping it because it's my first highlighter and I do like it, and I think one day I'll probably go back and use it some more, but right now I'm so hooked on this one that I don't think I can really use this. I don't have a desire to use this right now. The next thing on my list was the Wet n Wild Rebel Rose lipstick. Now, I loved this lipstick. It was literally my favorite. It's my first Wet n Wild liquid lipstick purchase, and it was such a good purchase, such a good color on my lips. Like, look at how pretty that makes, and it makes me want to apply it. But I don't hardly have any left in this tube. Like, I'm surprised that I was able to get that swatch because I've used this and used this and used this so much that I basically don't have any product left. So I have concluded this to be done. I've probably had it for a good 1.5 years. And it's kind of dried up. I used it and used it though, so I think this was a success for sure. The next thing is sample scents. Now, I had these little things, and I had about 4 of them, I think, or maybe 3 in the video. I can't remember now. Man, these take a long time, and I keep forgetting about them, and then I'll remember, and I'll try and use them, and then I'll forget. It's been a struggle to use them. So, and then I found another one of these in an old purse of mine, and I was like, just when you think you're making progress, you find more. So I had a bunch of these, and I had a bunch of Kate Spade twirl samples, and I used all of them. I actually used them all. So now I'm down to these 2, and I didn't use this one much at all. I kind of like the packaging, and I kind of like keeping it around, so I didn't really even use it. I was going to use this last. And then this one here is an Aeropostale sample, and you know, it's okay. It's kind of not my favorite scent, so I use it sparingly, and it's almost done. As you can see, it's almost done. So I kind of pair it with this Physicians Formula Butter Paradise scent, and I had paired that twirl with this as well as this with this, and kind of mix scents together, and I enjoy doing that. So, yeah, there's that. Now, yeah, my goal was to finish all 4. I finished I believe I finished 3. And it was I wanted to finish 4 out of 4. I ended up finding a 5th one. So I finished 3 out of 5. So, last thing I wanted to talk about was the CoverGirl primer. And I don't have that bottle because I threw it away when I used it all up. And it probably took me about the entire 6 months to use up just what I had, and it was less than half of the bottle. I mean, I felt like that I had very little left to go, and I end up, it took a long time to use. However, clearly, it takes shorter amount of time to use a primer than it does to use a pressed powder, whereas the pressed powder took me a whole year to use up, and I had already hit pan on the pressed powder. So, what I replaced the primer with was this Tatcha primer, the Silk Canvas, and I don't really love it. I thought that I would like this more than I do. I just bought this tiny little sample, and I'm so glad I did because the big one cost like 50 some dollars, and it's not worth it. Like, it's really not. I found that it kind of clogged my pores and didn't really prolong my makeup. It almost made it a little more oily, in my opinion. Now, the primer that I use now all the time that I like is the Milk Makeup Hydro Primer. And I think that this is a really good primer. It doesn't clog my pores, and it also, it kind of, like it says, kind of gives you a little more hydration underneath of the foundation, and I find that it lays better than when I put this on. They're two different products. They don't compare to each other at all, but in experimenting with different base primers, I find that dimethicone base isn't really my favorite, and glycerin based is probably better in my opinion. And then a bonus thing that I wanted to talk about was this Wet n Wild Megalast eyeliner. It's a retractable eyeliner, and I ended up using it all up. I'm so excited because it just takes a long time to use an eyeliner. And of course the question is, did I repurchase it? Yes, I liked it enough to repurchase it. So here is my other one, and it's going strong. I think that it's a really good product, and I like that it retracts and I don't have to sharpen it. So that is all that I have to talk about today. This happened to be a longer video than I planned for it to be, but I hope that this was informational and that you found it to be somewhat interesting. I do not plan to start another project pan because I think that this has taught me well enough to rein in my purchases and to just use what I have and to be happy with what I have, and realize that I don't need to have like I kind of hate having 3 different concealers. That's why I'm going to use this up, and then I'm going to bounce between these 2, and I'll be happy with having 2 concealers, you know, for a while. But honestly, like, I'll be happy to only have 1 eventually. And so this was a really fun challenge for me, and I hope to gain from it. And if I start to get out of hand again, maybe one day I'll start a new project pan. But as of right now, I just enjoy using different things at different times and just being careful about what I buy. So that ends the video. I appreciate you for watching. I hope that you enjoy and that you will come back. I'd like to do makeup and lifestyle kind of videos, and I also love decluttering. So I'm thinking about doing some more declutter videos, kind of showing you my makeup inventory and also decluttering some of it, and organizing, because I love to organize. So that, like I said, ends the video. Please subscribe to this channel, and I am at Elizabeth Foreman, that's Foreman, like George Foreman, on YouTube, and my social media is raddancer17 on Instagram, Snapchat, and also Twitter if you'd like to follow me. So till next time, thanks guys, bye. The material, what am I saying? Okay, I gotta gotta hurry up because I'm dying.